Oh man, I don't even have to give a speech. John did it for me. Okay, let me see. First of all, I feel honored to represent our province and the community on the 200th anniversary of the founding of the Brothers of the Sacred Heart. There's a gospel scene, the Transfiguration, in which our Lord goes up to Mount Tabor and takes three of his apostles, Peter, James, and John, and is transfigured before them. And all they could say was, "Lord, it is good for us to be here." And that's exactly how I feel tonight, to see the St. Joe's community, some of my former stars and friends of St. Joe's. It's really good for us to be here. Outside my office, I used to have a sign, "Enter quietly, sacred space." And as John said, I consider my office sacred space. Often I sit quietly in my office and reminisce of the 46 years of coaching. And I look around and I see the plaques, I see the championship trophies, I see the pictures of our top runners who are very successful. I see the banners from Phillipsburg Catholic when I taught religion for 8 years up there, and that was one of their religion projects. So I'm surrounded with pictures. And I began coaching in 1968, 1967, and in 68 what happened was Brother Aldrich happened to be the principal, and he had me as a novice in 1958. And he knew I loved running. And he said, "Hey, Rich, we need a freshman track coach." I said, "Hey, Al, I don't know anything about track." He says, "You'll learn." And 46 years afterwards, I'm still learning. I still try different workouts, because each team was different. I mean, some guys could handle 200 intervals. Other guys could handle maybe 15. So you really had to adjust your workouts. But to me personally, coaching has been a ministry. Because you can really, kids are more relaxed outside, on the track, they shoot the breeze. And so that's really, I always consider that. Now what I'm going to do tonight, don't panic now, don't panic. Because I'm going to go through each season and just highlight certain meets, okay? And the first season is my favorite season, cross country. I love cross country, first of all, because it's a nice time of the year. You're working in parks. You don't have the restriction of doing intervals all the time. And another plus is the meets are shorter. They're not all day, and that's a big plus. Now, my best cross-country team was 1974, and lowest score wins in cross-country. You have to get 5 guys in. 7 guys make a team, 5 guys have to score. In 1974, we finished 1, 2, 3, 6, 7. When we came onto the track, the announcer said, "Unbelievable," and it was an unbelievable team. We scored 19 points. My second best team was 2000. That year we finished 3, 4, 6, 7, 13. And we had 33 points. And the next team was CBA with 89. And like I said, lowest score wins. My third best team, and these are all championship teams. My third best team was 1999. We finished 9, 10, 12, 13, and that fifth man drove me crazy. He finished 48th. And you got to get the fifth man in. And coaches go crazy when the kids come onto the track, me included. I used to go nutsy trying to get that fifth man in. And he got in, I don't know why, I can't remember his name. But anyway, we finished 74 points, and Don Bosco was 74. So you could see how close it was. And Tom Landowski happened to be on that team. And he's the crew coach. and he founded the crew team, but I gotta admit, Tom was a much better discus thrower than distance runner. And then one heartbreaker was in 1998. 1998, we finished second place, 62-63. We lost by 1 point. But the bright spot of the day was Jim Flannery's, because Jimmy went, he was the champ of that meet, and he took first place in 5 consecutive meets. Jimmy now teaches at the University of Georgia. The toughest race that I have ever seen a kid run at St. Joe's was in 1979. Okay, and that was John Waver's race. John Waver holds the school record for the mile 4:12.5. But what happened, John, when he was a junior, was outside during lunch period, and I always told him, don't mix sports. But John was out there playing basketball, ran into the pole, broke his leg. That's junior year. He was finished for the whole spring season. He worked himself back into shape all summer, and then come to the county meet, and we were going for 14 consecutive county titles. And this was in Bugalo Park in New Brunswick. And it was a hot, humid day. And John was just coming off an injury. So what happened was he fell 3 times before the finish line. But John knew that he had to get in. And John knew that he had to run that meet if we were going to continue the cross-country consecutive titles. And what happened was almost by the finish line. And his mom reached down to pick him up. And the meet director says, don't touch him, he has to finish on his own ability. So poor John literally crawled across the finish line. And what happened, they took him to Robert Wood Hospital. It was a Friday afternoon, and he was dehydrated. But to me, that was the toughest race that I have ever seen. Another important thing, too, is the 6th man. The 5th man's very important. You got to get that guy in. But sometimes at a cross-country meet, there's a tie, okay? So it was down in Essex, it was in Branchbrook Park, and what happened was the meet director came to me and says, brother, I have some good news and some bad news. And the good news is, it's a tie. And the bad, no, let me see. Good news is, it was a tie, and the bad news is it's a tie. Good news is your 6th man finished lower. So we beat Modern Day that meet, okay? Now in cross country, we have a tradition. We always start our first practice at the Brothers Cemetery, asking the brothers to bless our efforts during the season. We always end our last practice at the Brothers Cemetery, thanking the brothers for their help during the season. And another thing in my office is a banner that says, the race is not always to the swift, but to those who keep on running. And what makes me very happy is, you know, not every guy is a great runner, but you have guys who kept plugging for 4 years. And that's what really gives me a lot of satisfaction when a kid starts as a freshman and finishes as a senior. Because, you know, cross country is not a glory sport. Very rarely will you see a cross country runner smiling when he crosses the finish line. In fact, you would see the opposite, but I don't want to spoil your appetite. Okay? But what do you learn in cross country? You learn discipline, perseverance, and lifelong friendships. And some guys here tonight, I can still remember, Fred James was on that class 79 team, and that makes me very happy. And at the end of my, every season, I coach cross country winter and spring, and at the end I always put out a result sheet. And I always end with St. Paul's famous, I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. And that's what it's all about. And another famous quote from St. Paul, which John read, because it was in the plaque in my office, is, "I do not claim that I have already succeeded, but I keep running to win the prize. So I forget what's behind and look forward to what lies ahead." And I always used to tell the kids, the kid in front of you is just as tired. Who wants it? And don't look back. Always run towards the finish line. Another quote that I use a lot was, "Train for a purpose." There has to be a reason why you go out to practice every day. There has to be some sort of motivation. And the motivation is a very simple quote: train for a purpose. So that's cross-country season. Now, winter, it's shorter, okay? Winter season is the toughest. I mean tough. And the kids always used to say, "Hey brother, where's the indoor track?" I said, "You're looking at it. This is the track. We run out here. Have hats, gloves, sweats, bundle up." Okay? At the beginning, when I first started coaching, we had a board track, 160 yards. And the Fathers Club kept it up for us. They're the ones who build it. But the kids kept falling through it. It was 111 laps around for a mile. And when we were running dual meets, the meet director, 10 laps to go. You know, and when you had to run the 2 mile, it was even rougher. Okay? So the highlight of the winter season was, I was varsity coach for 4 years. I always enjoyed the freshman belt because I like to take raw materials and then train them. But the 4 years that I was varsity coach, Mr. McCaffrey went to Bricktown, and I took over because I was freshman coach at that time. But the highlight of my 4 years coaching varsity was winning 2 indoor state titles, 76 and 77 at Princeton. Now, the most important ingredient in relay running is teamwork. You got to unite as a team. And our kids were unbelievable. But it really decathlon champion. And Vinny was an animal on the track. And but his first love was pole vaulting. And he had a very, very dedicated coach. John Langdon's older brother, Jimmy. Jimmy was like a father figure to Vince. And it was unbelievable. Jimmy did such a fantastic job. And Vinny went on to be a national decathlon champion. And he got a scholarship to Maryland. And now he lives in San Antonio, Texas. Okay, that's it? Okay, team. Since John introduced all the people who were here, I'll forget that. One thing I want to... No. Do that. Okay. I want to mention the coaches that I coached who are coaches now. Gary Trojanowski. His name is on the board. 11 times Gary's name is on the board. Mike Malqueen, who was a hurling and sprinting coach, graduated from Manhattan College. He's in Rutgers Hall of Fame. He's in our Hall of Fame, and a faithful friend and supports all of St. Joe's activities. Mike McCabe at Union Catholic. He coached Sidney McLaughlin, the gold medal winner. Tom Landowski, the crew coach. Tim Miller, girls coach up at St. Thomas. Ed Tessalone, coaches at Lyndhurst. John Solomon, and also Adam Fern, and there are probably other ones. Okay. One last thing, John, and I will be on the road. Thank you list, we mentioned that. Okay. Provincial Council. Okay, each season on the results sheet, I put one final quote. And with that, I would like to add one final thank you. And that is, it is you, Lord, and St. Joseph, who have accomplished all that I have done. a Medicor Jesu, a Medicor de Maria. Love be the heart of Jesus, love be the heart of Mary. Thank you.
In addition to cross-country and track, we know Brother Rich's other great love is, unfortunately, the New York Yankees. But on behalf of the Yankees and the Somerset Patriots, we have a little gift for you. So, thanks, enjoy.